you tuning in, Maria. All right, folks. So let's get right into it, right? And very very important topic, right? Obviously, and this is a question I get asked pretty frequently, like as a recruiter, and just as you know, when I'm posting about these job search topics. A lot of people ask me, "Hey, Dean, I'm considering getting such and such certification. Is it going to make a difference? Is it going to assist me in my job search? It doesn't make sense for me to take this certification, right?" And the reason why this is a very important topic, folks, look, not all certifications, especially for those of you in tech, I know for a fact, like tech certifications for the most part are not like, they're not like small investments. It's not like something, you drop like a few bucks and you get your certification. Some of these certifications, and maybe for those of you from other fields as well, some of these certifications can be very pricey, right? And what I wanted to establish in this session is whether or not it makes sense for you to consider these certifications. I just want to give a quick shout out. Hey, Eno, thanks so much for tuning in. So folks, tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern time zone, Eno is going to be a guest on my job search chat. She's a business analyst, well known in her space. And we're going to be speaking about business, career, everything related to the job search and career, specifically for business analysts. So mark your calendars. Tomorrow, that's Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern time zone. Thanks for tuning in, Eno. Appreciate you tuning in, and look forward to our conversation tomorrow. So going ahead with the certifications, folks, very, very important thing to consider, right? And my perspective as a recruiter, again, I'm going to tell you the real deal from a recruiter's perspective. Do certifications matter? Can certifications really and actually help you and assist you in your job search? So short answer is, it's possible. Yes, it can potentially help you in your job search. But, folks, this is a big but, and it's a big but. Big if, that sounded totally inappropriate around. My apologies for that. But it's a big if about that is whether or not you're really addressing other certain areas on your job search, right? And what I mean by that is, look, if you're not addressing other issues in your job search, whether or not you have a certification is not going to matter, right? So the point is, look, you can go for some certification, definitely, if it's something key for your position, for the position you're applying for, if it's something key for whatever is required for in your career or your skill set or your field. That's all good. I mean, yeah, maybe that certification is important and it is required. But if you're making some mistakes in your job search, and that's the key issue, then getting a certification is not going to matter, right? Does everyone get my point? Let me know in the comments if that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense. What I'm saying, folks, is if you're not effectively handling your job search, if you're not taking the correct steps, you're not taking the correct handling of certain situations within your job search, if you're not addressing those core issues, the fact that you took some certification or not, or many certifications, or like a whole bunch of certifications, you go for a new degree or whatever the case is, if you're not handling your job search correctly, the certifications are not going to matter because it's not going to be addressing the key issues in your job search. Does everyone understand that? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you understand what I'm saying. So that's so tip number one in regards to this is, first and foremost, and by the way, you need to be taking notes. If you're taking notes, this is definitely and most of my sessions require most of you to take notes. So make sure you're taking notes. If you're not addressing the key issues in your job search, folks, the certification will not assist you, right? So step number one, before you even start considering the certification and stuff like that, and by the way, I just want to quickly mention, if you are taking the certification solely for the purpose of seeing if it'll improve your chances in your job search, that's not the best reason to take your certification. If, however, you're considering taking a certification, you're researching it, you're willing to make the investment, you should do it for the well-being of your career. It should be a career decision, not a job search decision. If you're taking notes, write that down. Write what I just said just now. Getting a certification is a career decision. It is not a job search decision. It's a career decision, not a job search decision. Write it down. Put it on the wall. Make sure you understand that, because that's a key point I shared with you just now, folks. A lot of you are making these decisions on getting certifications as if it's going to make some huge change in your job search. Again, not a job search decision. It's a career decision. So if you're investigating some certifications or getting some upskilling your skill set, I'm 100% for you with you for that. I believe in self-improvement and getting the certification, the training, and all of that. But do not make that decision to invest in a certification with the belief that it's going to assist you in your job search. It's a career decision, folks, right? So if you were to come to me and say, "Hey, Dean, look, I'm thinking of getting this certification. I'm thinking of getting." Okay, I'll use PMP as an example, right? Dean, I'm looking to get the PMP, and all blah blah blah. Is it going to help me? Is it going to help me? My first question to you is going to be, hey, that's great. You want to get the PMP? That's awesome. What's your motivation for getting the PMP? Now, if you were to tell me, well, Dean, I feel like if I get the PMP, it's going to help me in my job search. Wrong answer, folks. Wrong answer. Wrong response. I would advise you not to do it if that's your motivation. Now, if you told me, well, Dean, I am a project manager. I have a whole bunch of project management experience. I've been doing XYZ type of projects, blah, 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 et cetera. And I feel that getting the PMP is going to be the best investment I can make in my career. And it's a long-term investment. 100%, I would encourage you to take the certification. So hope all of you see this distinction, right? There's one case where the person is getting the certification because they want to invest in, it's an investment in their career. It makes sense for them in the long run for their career. Second scenario, someone's saying, hey, Dean, I'm going to get this because it's going to help me in my job search. Is it going to help me in my job search? Yeah, that's the wrong. That would not be the right situation, folks. That would not be the right reason to go for your certification, right? So that's a very important thing. All of you need to remember. So, and it looks like from the comments we have here, people agreeing with that. So Kanishka says agree. Eniola says that's interesting. Heta says agree with your point. Chinedu says totally agree. Awesome. Thanks for your feedback, folks. So look, this is very important, folks. What's your motivation for wanting to pursue the certification? That's the first and foremost important thing. If your motivation is that it's going to somehow enhance or improve your job search, you're going to end up disappointed, folks, and it's going to be money just poured down the drain, right? So that would probably be point number one. What's your motivation for getting the certification in the first place? If it assists in your career, if it's going to enhance you, if it's a good long-term investment, go for it, right? If you can make sense of the money, the investment, all that, definitely go for it. If you think that getting a certification is going to improve your job search, you're going to be disappointed, folks, right? And you're going to feel like, oh my God, I spent this money on this certification. It's all going to go down the drain. That's not going to help you, right? Which brings me to point number two. If your motivation for getting the certification is because it's going to improve your chances in your job search, what this tells me is you're struggling in your job search. And you're trying to find, you're thinking that getting this certification is like a medication or something, right? A quick fix for you. You're going to get the certification. You drop X number of dollars on the certification. Suddenly your job search is going to get easier and it's going to get better. People are going to start responding to you. All of that. That's not the cure, folks. That's not the cure. Certification is not going to help you with that, right? Now, that being said, okay, and this I always talk about is potential exceptions. Exception could be maybe this, whatever, your skills, this certification is like a rare kind of a certification, like something that only that's so difficult to get, and only the cream of the crop only gets this certification, and whatever roles you're interested in require this, or put you at the top of the resume pile. If that's the case, then yes, possibly it can. Possibly, I said possibly, folks. Remember, I was saying possibly. So you have to investigate this and use your due diligence as well. If that's the case, if that's the scenario where it's like a top-notch, it puts you at the cream of the crop kind of level, if you go for this certification, if that's the case, absolutely, it could possibly give you an advantage, right? I shouldn't have used the word definitely. What I mean is possibly. So it could possibly give you an advantage. So this is where you have to use your own, thinking and due diligence, folks. If that's the case, yeah, absolutely, it could possibly improve you in your job search. Now, if not, what you need to investigate is, and going from what I said before, if you're thinking that, this certification is going to improve my job search, it's probably because your job search is not going well. You're struggling in your job search. You're not getting the responses. You're not getting the interviews. You're not getting the offer letters. That's the core issue, not your skill set, folks. If you're struggling in your job search, the issue is not your skill set. The issue is your job search approach. How you're approaching your job search, what steps you're taking, how you're handling the phone calls, how you're handling the interviews, whether your resume is even capturing attention. Does your resume have the right format? Are you responding to objections and barriers, and you don't have this, you don't have that at the interview? How are you responding to those? How are you handling those conversations? Are you able to convert those interviews into actual final offer letters? If those issues are not addressed, getting a certification is not going to make a difference, because the core issue still exists, right? If I have a like a flu or something, right? Let's say I have a flu, me buying like a brand new suit is not gonna cure the flu. It'll make me look good, right? If I have a flu, I have a cough, a flu, and all that stuff, I buy myself a brand new suit, right? A suit and tie. I'm looking sharp and all that. Yeah, maybe I might feel good about myself. I look good. It enhances my professional image and my appearance and all that. But the core issue is not going to be resolved. I'm still going to have a cough. I'm still going to have a runny nose. I'm still going to have to deal with sneezing and all that stuff. The core issue has not been resolved, folks. Right? Hopefully, I've used a good example here, a good analogy, and hope this makes sense to all of you. Kind of similar when you're getting a certification, right? If you're struggling in your job search, if you're doing these core aspects of your job search incorrectly, resume's not right, resume's not getting doesn't stand out, no one's calling you after they read your resume, no one you go for the interview, you get the phone call, the initial phone call, you're not passing the screening, it's not converting into interviews. You're going for the interview, it's not converting into the second interview, the third interview, it's not converting into the final interview. Final interview is not converting into offers on the table. If you're not dealing with those core issues, folks, getting a certification is not going to assist you, right? And some of you might not like the sound of this, but this is the reality. This is what I always bring to you every week, right? The real story, the real deal. There's going to be people out there trying to pitch you on certifications and get this and get that. But if the core issues are not dealt with, folks, if you're not handling your job search, not handling those core issues from end to end, from start to end, right? From resume submission to offer negotiation and all that stuff. If there are issues in between those two areas, if those core issues are not dealt with, getting a certification, you're still going to be facing the same issues. Just like if I have a flu and a cold and a cough, if I get a suit, yeah, I'm going to look good. I'm going to look professional. I have the suit and tie, stuff like that. Yeah, that's good. But the core issues are not going to be resolved. I'm still not going to be feeling well. I'm still going to be having the symptoms, right? The symptoms of cold, cough, flu, and all that stuff. Fever, headache, all that stuff. Same thing in your job search. You get the certification, you haven't dealt with all the issues in your job search, you're going to have the same symptoms, folks. No responses to your resume, initial phone call not converting into interviews not converting into second interview, third interview, final interviews not converting into offer letters. The symptoms are still going to be there, folks, right? So this is the key thing I want all of you to take away from this is, look, first examine your actual job search process, your how you're handling your job search cycle first and foremost. Address those issues first before you consider, getting a certification solely for your job search, right? So keep that in mind. And again, even then, the certification is not the answer. Like, even if you handle all those issues you're experiencing in your job search, the certification is not the answer. Because again, you need to be getting a certification if it makes sense from a career decision standpoint, not from a job search standpoint, right? So keep this in mind. Right? So hope that information helped. And in regards to investigating the core issues, and this is a set of metrics, by the way, I always recommend to everyone. If you're taking notes, you want to write this down. There are I wrote these down here. Yeah, 4 metrics everyone needs to keep track of. Metric number 1 is number of jobs you applied to, right? Number of jobs, number of applications you submitted, and all that stuff. Could be direct, could be staffing agency, could be through your personal contacts, whatever. How many applications have you put out? That's metric number 1 you need to keep track of. Metric number 2, how many responses have you received in response to these applications you have submitted? That's metric number 2. Metric number 3, number of interviews, that initial phone call, right? After you get that initial phone call, and number 2, that the second metric, how many of those initial phone calls have converted into interviews being scheduled, right? And then going on from there, first interviews, and then second interviews, third interviews, fourth interviews, final interviews, whatever. Keep track of those. That's the third metric you need to keep track of. And then of all of those, interviews, and specifically the final interviews, how many have converted into offer letters? That's metric number 4. Keeping track of these 4 metrics, folks, you're going to see exactly where in your job search you're experiencing some kind of a block or a barrier, or some place where you have to investigate further and figure out what you need to do to make adjustments, because there's clearly a block. For example, let's say I send out 100 applications or 100 submissions of my resume, or 100. I submit my role to 100 positions. It could be a mix of online applications, personal networking, staffing agencies, direct applies, networking events, whatever, right? Let's say I send out 100 applications, right? What's metric number 2? Metric number 2 is number of responses, right? Number of responses to the application. How many people have called me back and said, hey, Dean, we got your application. We just want to have an initial conversation. If the number if this second metric is extremely low, the issue could be something occurring in that initial stage, whether it's the networking, the types of positions you're applying for, whatever. So it could be so many different things. So that means you need to investigate what's going on in step number one, metric number one, what's happening at the application stage. Because if I'm sending out 100 applications, I'm getting 0 responses, right? What does that tell you? That tells the numbers don't lie, folks. The numbers don't lie. What does that tell you? If you send 100 applications, you're getting 0 responses. There's probably an issue with your resume. That could be one. Could be an issue with the types of roles you're applying for. So you need to investigate what's happening, right? Now, let's say you submit whatever number of applications, you get the initial phone calls. Let's say you get you submit 100 applications, right? Let's say you get 20 phone calls. Pretty good response rate. You get 20 initial phone calls. 0 of those phone calls are converting into interviews. What does that tell you? That means something's happening in metric number 2 on the initial phone call that's preventing it from converting into number 3, right? The initial interviews. That means you're doing something on the phone call, the initial phone call screening, that's resulting in 0 conversions into interviews, right? And so on and so forth, folks. This is why it's important to keep track of these metrics, right? So again, I'm going to mention these metrics again. All of you for homework, right? After this stream, you need to plug in those numbers. This will help you identify where in your job search cycle you're experiencing difficulty so you can further investigate that step. So again, metric number 1, how many applications, how many positions, how many roles have you applied for? Whatever channel, online application, Monster, LinkedIn, Indeed, staffing agencies, professional networking, personal connections, actual submissions, right? Not conversations. These are submissions where you have actually submitted for a specific role, right? Not general submissions here. Metric number 1. Metric number 2, right? How many of those have resulted in initial phone calls of feedback? How many of those, out of those, how many have actually called you back and said, yeah, we're interested in having a conversation, right? That's metric number 2. Metric number 3, how many of those have converted into actual interviews, right? Number of interviews this has converted into. First interviews, second interviews, third interviews, et cetera, final interviews. Keep track of that. And metric number 4, how many of those final interviews have converted into actual offer letters? Keep track of those 4 metrics, folks. That's going to tell you where the actual issue is in your interviews. In your job search cycle, right? Because look, getting a certificate, if you're struggling with those 4 metrics, like and you clearly see there's an issue in one of those areas, getting a certification is not going to help you. It's not going to make you stand out for anyone else. No matter how good your certification is, if you're screwing up the initial phone call, it's not going to matter what your certification is. If you're a project manager, you have your PMP, you got your PMP, you're not handling your interviews correctly, the PMP is not going to matter. You're not going to move on to the next step, to the second interview. If you're not able to handle the objections, these stalls and all these reasons why they might not want to move forward with you, your PMP is not going to help, folks. Right? So my point here is what I've been trying to communicate in this session is, if you're not addressing the key issues in your job search, your certifications are not going to matter. And just like I mentioned before, getting a certification anyway should be a career decision, not a job search decision. Right? So look, I hope that information helped, right? And I hope it helps all of you out there and it made sense. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if it made sense. And let me know your follow-up questions as well in regards to this. And also, before I get into the questions and all that, I do see a couple of you have mentioned, what about jobs that ask for certain certifications? So that's a great question. So when you have that initial phone call with the recruiter, the hiring manager, or whoever it is on that initial step, this is where you need to qualify and qualify when you're speaking to them on the phone and figure out the importance of the actual certification. Is it a deal breaker? I can tell you, folks, from my experience as a recruiter, in most cases, with few exception, in most cases, professional, practical, hands-on experience usually outweighs the certification. Now, there are some exceptions to this, obviously. Certain certifications do definitely hold weight. For example, when I've recruited on cloud engineering roles, for example, AWS cloud engineers, the AWS certification definitely holds weight, right? Again, in some circumstances for the project manager roles, the PMP definitely holds weight. Again, this could depend from company to company, right? And again, you're dealing with people. Some hiring managers might put more weight on certifications than other hiring managers, right? But my point in this session is, if you're going to get that certification, it needs to be based on a career decision, not a job search decision, right? So while there are definitely certifications out there that hold weight, that do carry weight to them, and it'll make you seem like a more attractive candidate for the position and for the role, that's awesome. That's great. But even then, so let's say you get you get your certification, and I look at your resume. I'm like, oh wow, this person has the PMP, the AWS certification. That's great. I give you a call, and you're not able to effectively communicate your value, your skill set, your projects, your achievements. If you're not able to effectively communicate that, folks, your AWS certification not really going to matter, right? Because you're not able to effectively communicate and show me and explain to me what your value is, what the potential ROI is from hiring you for whatever position or project, right? And same thing further along the process, same thing, right? If your resume doesn't show your value, it's not going to capture anyone's attention, right? And same thing further along in the interview process. If you're not able to actually explain your standout milestone projects, the certification is not going to help you. I mean, the certification can only get you so far, right? At least at the interviews during the job search cycle, right? Obviously on the job, it's going to definitely help you and enhance your knowledge, your ability and all that. I'm not saying it's not valuable. Definitely on the job, for sure, it's going to have value, right? But we're talking about the job search cycle, folks. We're talking about the job search cycle. So if you have the certification, hey, that's great, good for you, all of that. But if you're not handling the communication correctly, your resume is not getting attention, you're not able to handle the interview conversations correctly or properly, you're not able to negotiate the offer letter and all of that stuff. If you're not able to handle that stuff, saying, hey, yeah, but I have a PMP, but I have an AWS certification, it's not going to matter, folks. You need to be able to handle those conversations and handle your job search. Address those first and foremost. Investigate those first and foremost before you consider making an investment into. If you're making an investment into the certification solely because you think it's gonna increase your chances in the job search, right? So hope this information helped, and let me know in the comments. Let me know if this was helpful for you, and if it made sense. Let me know all your follow-up questions in regards to. This whole certification thing, and any of your other job search questions, let me know in the comments, folks. I'll respond to those shortly. And let me get around to this real quick as well. I'll take a look at some of these comments here, and let me know in the feedback. And by the way, if you found this helpful, make sure you like, comment, share. I see that some of you are already commenting, but make sure you like, folks, so that other people in your network can see it. And anyone who is struggling with this question as to whether to take a certification or not, definitely pretty sure this session will help them. So let's see here. We got some more comments here. We got Hari Curran from Halifax. Thanks for tuning in, Hari Curran. Sayani says, hi Dean, I'm from Toronto. I'm open for new opportunity. Awesome. Sounds good, Sayani. And let's see here. So we got a question. I think it's a question here from Nandini. So Nandini says, I have a master's degree in technology, entrepreneurship, and innovation. Yesterday, I just completed my Scrum Master certification. I want to complete more certifications, whether I can do product owner certification or PMP, which will be more beneficial, which has more value. I'm confused. Yeah, Nandini, from what I recall, you actually, I believe you asked this question on one of my previous tech talks. So what I would advise is go through that session again. I believe it was the one with Bola, I believe. I do recall you asking a similar question. So look into that, do your research, and it depends on your career path, Nandini. Like, it depends on what you want to do from a career standpoint, and then you need to do your due diligence and research and figure out which of those is going to help and which is going to enhance your profile, which is going to assist you in your career. So you need to do your legwork. You need to do your research, folks. No one else can make those decisions for you, right? So do your market research, whatever certifications you're looking to take, compare that with your long-term career goals, and make a decision as to which one is going to, further assist, or maybe both of them might, right? So hope that helps, Nandini, and thanks for your question. We got Dave. Hey, Dave says, hello, Dean. David from Mexico, Business Intelligence Manager. Awesome. Thanks so much for tuning, David. David, I believe you joined in a couple of my previous live streams as well. So appreciate you tuning in, David. Hope you got value out of today's session. Let's see what else here. So Maria says, makes sense. Awesome. Thanks for that, Maria. So Farah asked a good question. Don't some jobs ask for certain certifications? Yeah, absolutely, Farah. So I think I've kind of answered this already, Farah, but yeah, just like I said, some jobs definitely do require certain certifications, but you might have to look at it on a case-by-case basis, folks, right? Because I have sometimes, as a recruiter, I've dealt with various companies, right? All the way from startups to large size, big, huge companies, right, that are multinational. And the degree of importance of the certification depends on the role, and also depends on the hiring manager. I've had some hiring managers, my managers say, hey, look, Dean, if you can find someone who has the PMP, that's perfect. It's ideal. But if you find a great project manager who has the hands-on experience, they worked on similar projects, it's not a deal breaker if they don't have the PMP. I've spoken to hiring managers who said, yeah, Dean, if you can find someone who has the Microsoft Azure certification, that's perfect, that's ideal. But if they don't, it's not a deal breaker. We still want to meet with them. So again, it depends, right? And again, to kind of add to what I said before, yeah, definitely some roles are going to require the certifications and all of that. But again, folks, we're dealing with a job search cycle. If you're not handling your job search effectively, if you're making mistakes and errors within the job search cycle, your certification is not going to matter, because you're not handling those job search issues, right? A resume that doesn't capture attention, unable to and not getting you those initial phone calls not converting into interviews not converting into second interviews, third interviews, final interviews not converting into job offers. If those key core issues are not dealt with, folks, your certification is not going to help you. It'll definitely enhance your profile. It'll make you appear to be like a great, awesome a candidate who's invested in their education. Definitely. And by the way, I'm not saying certifications are not important. They are important. My point is, they're important for your job. But we're not talking about the job, the actual job here. We're talking about the job search cycle, the job search, right? So my point is, if you're not handling those issues in your job search, your certification is not going to help you. No one's going to say, oh, well, you know what, Dean, you didn't answer this question correctly, or you didn't respond to this objection correctly. But you know what, you have a recruiting certification, so we're still going to consider you for the job. It's not going to happen, folks, right? You see my point. I hope everyone understands my point. Certification is definitely important, definitely an amazing, excellent career investment. But it's not going to help you in your job search if you're not handling your job search correctly. That's my point. So I hope that answers your question, Farah. Thanks so much for tuning in. So we got, let's see here. I see more questions here. Let's see here. So Gaurav asks, what about certain positions that have a particular certification as a qualifying criteria? Yeah, Gaurav, great question. I believe I answered that question, Gaurav. So let me know if you need more clarification on that. But let me know. But great question. Definitely a great question. So folks, I'm not saying certifications are not important. 100%. If your career requires certain certifications, you have to make investments in yourself and your career, your skill set, your field. Definitely make those investments. My point here is, do not make that investment in the certification thinking it's going to help you in your job search. The point I'm trying to make here is, deal with the job search issues first and foremost. Like that the job search issues are going to be different from the actual job itself, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. So hope all of you understand that. I'm trying to make this distinction here, right? If you're going to invest in the certification, that's great. That's going to enhance your career. It's going to help in your career and your ability and your skill set and all of that. But it's not going to necessarily enhance your job search ability, because the job search issues are different, right? So that's the point. So hope that helps. Deepershri says, true certifications should be relevant to your job experience. Yeah, absolutely, Deepershri. Good point. Sundus here, great session today. Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, Sundus. Appreciate you tuning in. Shout out to Sundus. Sundus is always tuning into my sessions. Appreciate that, Sundus. Hope you get a lot of value out of it. Appreciate your support. We got Kanishka says he's gonna. I guess Kanishka's answering a question. Hari Karan says informative. Awesome. Thanks. Appreciate your feedback, Hari Karan. Thanks for that. So Kanishka actually gave some insights about, I guess, Nandini's question. So Kanishka says Scrum Master, product certification, and PMP certification are two different paths altogether. So if you are choosing to be a Scrum Master, which is more on SDLC side and managing product deliverables, on the other hand, PMP is towards managing every aspect of project management, which is infra, SDLC, and other domains. What's more, PMP is also getting outright by Agile certifications. Yeah, appreciate you explaining that, Kanishka. So hope that helps, Nandini. So Kanishka gave a great explanation there. And kind of like what I said before, right? Again, and I believe Kanishka mentioned it as well. Depends on your career path, right? What your career goals are. So based on that, you need to do your research. So let's see here. So Heta says, I'm looking for opportunity after my maternity break and new to Canada. So before looking for job, I have to upgrade my skills with certification, but maybe somehow not getting interview response. Yeah, so this is one of those case by case situation, Heta. So yeah, obviously, because if you've been away from your profession for a while, folks, you definitely want showing that you're investing in the certification and upskilling yourself, staying up to date, definitely helps. But even in your situation, Heta, you're going to be ultimately faced with those conversations as to why they need to consider you over versus someone else who might who might be very current with their experience and skill set. I'm not sure how long you've been off the market, Heta. So even in that case, Heta, you need to be effectively able to communicate why they need to consider you as a candidate for the role, right? So although it's great that you need to get the certification and you're getting the certification, that's great. But folks, you still need to be able to handle the conversations, right? So that's my point. So again, Heta, great that you're taking the certifications. So what you need to do is make sure you're able to effectively communicate yourself as a viable, top-notch candidate for whatever position you're considering. So again, folks, right, this is an area the certification is not going to help you. The certification is going to help you in the actual role, the skill set, and all of that, the knowledge, the frameworks, the standards, the standardizations, the methodology. All that knowledge is very, very important. But now the next step is you need to effectively communicate why you're the ideal candidate for the role, right? So we have another question here from Harsh, and Harsh says, "Hello, Dean. Harsh here. I'm looking for guidance to get hired in my career. I'm working as tech support currently to get experience. And now I have enough experience and ready to apply for PR. I'm thinking to go back to my own field as software developer, but whenever applying any posting, not getting any answer, and sometimes lacking experience in junior positions too. Do you advise to do certification for getting hired?" Yeah, so good question, Harsh. So let me just read this over again. So looking for guidance to get hired in my career. I'm working in tech support currently to get experience and ready to apply for PR. I'm thinking to go back to my own field as a software developer. Whenever applying for any posting, not getting answer. Yeah, so Harsh. So again, it's great if you want to go for the certification here, Harsh. But again, I believe your issue, and I'll just leave it up there for people who might not have read that. But I think your issue is the issue here is not your certification. From the way you explained it, Harsh, your issue is going to be explaining the move into software development, from what I understand. So I'm not sure of your complete background, but sounds like you've been working in tech support and you're looking to make a move back into software development, Harsh. So your challenge in your job search now is to articulate, first of all, why you're making that move. Like, why did you? And it sounds like you were previously in software development, then you started doing tech support, and now you want to go back into software development. So that might be the real issue, Harsh. So you need to explain to the employer, to the recruiter, and all of that. First of all, why did you leave software development and start doing tech support? That's going to be the first question on their mind. Why did he leave software development? Second question is, okay, why does he now want to get back into software development? That's going to be the real unspoken objection or concern the employer is going to have. Why is he right in terms of, okay, first of all, why did he leave software development and why did he get into tech support? And now, why does he want to leave tech support again and get back into software development? That's going to be the core issue. So your certification is not going to answer that concern. That's the unanswered, unspoken concern that they might have. They might not verbally express this. So you need to make sure you're explaining this when you're selling yourself at your interviews, on your phone calls, right? Because that's going to be the key issue. What you don't want to happen, Harsh, and again, I'm just giving you just the the real feedback here, right? The concern might be, it seems like this guy might be flipping back and forth, right? That's the concern the employer might have or the recruiter might have. So you need to explain why you made that move away from software development and into tech support, and now why again you're making the move from tech support back into software development. That's going to be the core issue. Your certification is not going to answer that. You can get 10 certifications if you want. That's not going to answer that unspoken concern. So definitely get the certification. I'm not saying don't get it, but don't think that's going to help you, resolve this unspoken thing on their mind. That's the concern on their mind, right? So make sure you articulate that, Harsh. Great question. Hope that helps. Let's see here. What else? So Farah says, this was very informative and makes sense. Thank you. Could you do a session on how to sell your job experience and skills at the interview and one-on-one salary negotiations? Also, is there a different way to prep and face for the second interview versus the first? Yeah, for sure, Farah. I'll cover these. And feel free to go through my content, folks. I've spoken about these aspects in the past, right? So I put out a lot of content. So, folks, feel free to go through these. I'll definitely cover these in upcoming sessions. And in regards to your question, Farah, like how to handle, the different way for the second interview versus the first. Yeah, absolutely, Farah. So this is where you got to figure out who's going to be present at the second interview. It depends on who you're meeting with, right? Because the various stakeholders have various angles and reasons why, or reasons where, how they're going to be impacted by your involvement in this project or whatever this position is. So you need to find out. That's probably the most important thing, Farah, is who's going to be the people you're meeting with at the second interview. Is it going to be a team lead? Is it going to be an HR person? Is it going to be manager level, director level, VP level, C level? These are all different types of conversations, different types of stakeholders, different types of personal involvements, right? And what is it? Personal involvement and what they get out of it, right? So definitely the second interview can be very different from the first. So you got to figure out, and you got to have that. You got to figure out like who's going to be there, and that'll give you a hint as to what kind of a conversation it's going to be and what their involvement, what they want to get out of it as well. So hope that helps, Farah, and great question. Nandini says, thanks, Dean. Yeah, no worries, Nandini. Appreciate your question. So Amil says, what are the most valuable certifications in the IT industry today in general? Yeah, so Amil, again, it depends on your field, right? PMP, on the cloud side, AWS certifications, cloud, Microsoft Azure certifications. I mean, there's so many certifications in IT, and because IT is constantly evolving, there's so many certifications, Amil, right? So it depends on your field. And I'm pretty sure it's very easy for you to go onto Google and just do a quick search about this. Like you can literally Google search, top IT certifications. That should give you an idea, Amil. So hope that helps. And thanks for your question. Farah says, yup, understood. Thanks, Dean. Yeah, no worries, Farah. Appreciate that. Savita says, how to convert final interviews to job offers, Dean? Yeah, Savita. So this is where you need to, what's called it's a sales terminology, closing the client, the decision maker on putting an offer on the table. So that means you need to first, they have to be sold on you being the ideal candidate for the position. And they need to see the ROI, the return on investment, the actual value that you could potentially have by them making the investment that they're making in you for the position. So this is where you have to literally ask them, right? You had to ask them, if they're, do you have enough information to make a decision? Do you feel that I'm the right candidate for the role? This is where you need to ask those questions and really, convert the conversation into, okay, now you know everything you know about me. Are you ready to make a decision? Or do you see me as the right candidate for the position? Do you feel I'm the right person for this position? Do you feel I'm going to get you the results that you want to achieve from this project? That's how you do that conversion, right? And it's not something that I can explain to you in a few minutes, Savita, but definitely a key topic, and I'll definitely cover that in future live sessions. But it's not an easy conversation. This is where you need to actually take them from listening to you about your experience and all of that, and moving them along into actually making that decision and putting an offer on the table. And sometimes, folks, it's as simple as asking them for the job. Am I the right person for the position? Right? When can I expect an offer? When can I expect a final decision from you? These are all the kind of questions you can ask to convert the actual meeting into an actual discussion about an actual offer. Right? So great question, Savita. I hope that helps. Vasu, thanks for tuning in. Vasu says, I have a Humber diploma of computer programming, but I feel like just that diploma is not enough for a developer job. Every other dev job demands a degree at least. What do you suggest? Yeah, Vasu, great question. Look, if you have a diploma, I mean, it's. I know plenty of people who have diplomas who are very successful software developers, and then I know a lot of highly successful software, developers, programmers, engineers who have a degree. Like I've seen both, Vasu. So don't undermine the value of your degree. Your diploma. In fact, what you want to do is, Vasu, you want to showcase your actual hand, because you're a developer. I'm sure you can show a portfolio of projects that you worked on, making maybe academic projects, maybe hands-on projects you're doing on the side right now. You want to show these at your interviews, because it shows exactly what you can do, your capabilities, and what you're able to accomplish, what you can do, what kind of coding, what kind of languages, and all that stuff. You need to show that, because showing is much more powerful than just telling folks, right? Always keep that in mind. Always remember that. If you're able to show what you can do, it's much more powerful than you saying, yeah, this is what I did, this is what I did, this is what I did. If you can show it, if you can say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Interviewer, look, I brought my laptop with me. With your permission, I'd like to actually show you some of the applications that I've been personally coding on and working on. That'll give you an idea of the kind of work ethic and results and things that I can achieve for your company. And then pull out your laptop and with their permission and show them your stuff. It's always more powerful to show your stuff, right? I see someone here, Amil here gave a great suggestion, kind of connected to what I said just now. create a GitHub account and work on personal projects. Yeah, exactly. Great point, Amil, right? And goes back to what I was saying just now. If you can show what you can do, that's always more powerful, Vasu. So hope that helps. Eniola says, what do you say as per mentoring in some career paths, say business analysis or project management, not necessarily certification? Yeah, Eniola, I'm not sure what you're asking there. I'm not sure what your question is, like in regards to mentoring, career path. Yeah, I'm not sure, Eniola. If you can clarify that, I'm not sure what you're asking there. So Samuel says, thanks, Dean. Yeah, no worries, Samuel. Appreciate that. Kanishka says, again, a very informative and eye-opening session. I would love to join more sessions like these. Thanks to Dunn. Yeah, no worries, Kanishka. I appreciate that. And definitely you're most welcome to join in. I'd be happy to have you here. And definitely appreciate the feedback. Happy to hear that. Savita says, thanks, Dean. You're welcome, Savita. Yeah, we already did Amil's comment here. Siva Kumar says, is CSM has a bright future? Is it advisable to get the job, particularly as a Scrum Master? I want to know more about the future of Scrum Master. Yeah, so Siva Kumar, I actually had a session with a previous guest. His name was Bola. So check out that session. He actually answers this very question. I believe it was Bola. Yeah, Bola spoke about being a Scrum Master. So go into my my profile, go to my see all activity, go to my posts, and keep scrolling down and look at the session I had where my guest was Bola. He's a Scrum Master, and he actually spoke about this. So make sure you check out that session. Hope that helps. Vasu says, Amil Shah done that, still doesn't land me a job. Yeah, so Vasu, this goes. So Amil definitely gave a great advice in regards to the GitHub. So you definitely do that. But also, in addition, follow what I told as well, Vasu, in terms of showing your work at the interviews itself. So when you get to your interviews, like I said before, the example I gave for work, pull out your laptop, pull out your whatever device, and with their permission, and ask if you can show them your work. That's going to let them see exactly the kind of work that you're able to do. So hope that helps, Vasu. Stay positive. Don't give up and keep pushing forward, all right? Harsh says, my background is in software engineering only. Back home, I did bachelor's in computer applications, and after that, moved to Canada as a student and did 2 different programs of software testing and software engineering. After that, I was looking for a job, but after 6 months, got the job as tech support, and this was my first professional job. And even getting Canadian and corporate industry experience, I had spent 1 year and 4 months now, and this experience was for me in terms of immigration purpose. Yeah, Harsh. So again, same advice as I advised you before. The concern on the manager, the hiring managers, the recruiter's mind is, why did you step away from software development? Why did you get into tech support? And why do you want to now get back into software development? So it looks like you do have a valid reason for that. So you just had to articulate that on your phone calls with the recruiters and the hiring managers, right? So just keep that in mind. And I hope that helps, Harsh. And all the best. Keep me posted. And Siva Kumar says, sure, thank you. Hey, no worries, Siva Kumar. Yeah, so that discussion with Bola, very informative. Make sure you check it out. So looks like that's all the questions, folks. So I'm going to wrap this up. Let me know in the comments if you found this session helpful. And I'll definitely, and again, every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone, I go here live. I'm live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, my Facebook page, my personal Facebook profile, also on Periscope as well. Shout out, by the way, to everyone on Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn as well. And hope that helps in terms of, your job search. So again, every week, Wednesday, folks, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone. Make sure you tune in. I'm here to speak about various job search topics and answer your job search topics, your job search questions live as well. And again, a reminder, tomorrow I'm going live at 12 p.m. Eastern time zone. For those of you who are business analysts, my guest is Eno Eka. She's a well-renowned, BA, very well known in her space. And she's going to be my guest. We're talking about job search tips and advice and career advice specifically for BAs. So that's going to be tomorrow, 12 p.m. noon Eastern time zone, folks. Make sure you check it out. We're going to be having a great conversation, and we're going to be talking about job search and career tips and advice for business analysts. Make sure you check it out. Also, for those of you who are in need of career coaching, I am partnering up currently with Gurpreet Kaur in regards to providing career coaching, assistance for job seekers, specifically for IT professionals. It's called the Land Your Dream IT Job Coaching Program. You get 2 coaches, myself and Gurpreet, 5 weeks intensive, 20 hours of coaching. And you get access to a private Facebook group, 1 year of ongoing support, and you get skills that's going to last you throughout your career. If you want more information about that, let me know. We are at the limit for the current session. We're not accepting new students at the moment, but the next session is starting on September 10th. If you want more information about this coaching program, including pricing and all of that, do send me a direct message. I'll be happy to share more information. It is only for IT professionals in the US and Canada only at this time. So if you're in the US and Canada, you're an IT professional, you want more assistance in your job search, more specific strategies to take you from resume stage all the way down to job offer negotiation and all of that. This program covers all of that. So make sure you send me a direct message. I'd be happy to get on a Zoom call with you, give you a rundown of the program. And I also provide you with the pricing and payment plan up front so that you're aware of what that is. It's a great program so far. We're on I think the second or third class. Fantastic program, folks. I would not be partnering up with Gurpreet if I didn't believe in the curriculum and what she's going over. And over the next few classes, we're going to be speaking about job search strategy, and I'm going to be, I'm going to be just piling in the information from my perspective as an IT recruiter. So feel free to send me a direct message for more information about that. Be happy to provide you with more info. Other than that, folks, I hope this session was helpful. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Appreciate all your support. And again, every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone, I'm right here. Make sure you check me out. I'll be happy to help you and help you out with all your job search questions by covering the various topics. Thanks so much, everyone. Everyone have a fantastic day. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Vushali says, thank you. Appreciate that. And I'll continue to put out this information, folks. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a fantastic day.